Hi, my name is Jerald Simon. I'm the president and founder of Music Motivation. And every Tuesday I come out with a brand new Theory Tip Tuesday. It's something that I created to help teach piano students and piano teachers more about three primary areas. One I call theory therapy, two, innovative improvisation, and three, creative composition. I want students to be able to understand how to play the music that is written on the page, but once they've mastered and perfected what is written down, I want them to take it to the next level. And the next level, in my opinion, is being able to take and arrange anything, any style, any rhythm, taking the song and changing it up a bit. In addition, I like students to learn how to compose music of their own. Today, for this week, we're going to talk about Not Your Grandmother's Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star. Now, nothing against Grandma, but Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star, as we grew up playing it, it's wonderful. It's a great and beautiful piece. I love it, but I think we can do more with it. With my own piano students, I actually tell the students I want them to learn how to jazz up or do variations of Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star. My more advanced piano students, I actually ask them to come back with 5 different arrangements of Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star. And I give them examples, and I show them different left-hand patterns and different rhythms, which I'm going to show you today. But I say I want them to come up with 5 different arrangements of Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star. And then, once they've been able to do that, I ask them to do 10 different arrangements of Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star. One song, 10 arrangements. And the styles are limitless. We can do so much with the styles if we understand these left-hand patterns. So today, I'm going to show you 5 different arrangements. We are going to start with a simple preface by playing the original piece, but in addition to that, I've created this Theory Tip Tuesday free PDF exercise. Anyone can download this. If you go to my website, musicmotivation.com, you can actually download all of the different resources that I have available. So if you visit my website, the correct address would be musicmotivation.com/resources. And on there I have all of the brand new free PDFs that I create each week that have the Theory Tip Tuesday exercises. Piano students and piano teachers, anyone can print these off and share them with friends and family. Today, this is the exercise, Not Your Grandmother's Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star. I'm going to start off playing the original, and then we have 5 different variations. I'm going to show you an 80s pop variation, and something I have my students do, I call it the 80s pop pentascale. I'll introduce that to you as well. In addition, I show you a left-hand pattern for the 50s rock variation, as well as a swing, a little boogie-woogie pattern, and then the baby elephant walk, creating that left-hand pattern with Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star. In addition, I show a little New Age variation. And at the end, I'm going to play around and show you some additional variations you can do as well. Let me play the original Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star for you. As you follow along, watch what my hands are doing. My left hand is playing the chord, the basic 3-note triad. That is what my left hand is doing. My right hand is playing the melody, and my left hand is accompanying with the basic triad. We are only using 3 chords. We have the C major chord, C, E, and G. When I play them together, this creates the C major chord. If I then go to F major, if you notice, as you look at my hands, I have the C, the F, and the A, but the C is on the bottom. Initially, the F major chord, when it is in root position, is F, A, C. However many notes you have in a chord, that tells you how many positions you have. If I have 3 notes in a chord, that means I have 3 positions. When F is on the bottom, that is called root position, because the name after which the chord has been named, in this case F, is on the bottom. When I put that F up on top, this is called first inversion. And I always tell students it's top heavy up here. When I put the A up on top, that is second inversion. And so I always tell students, if you look at this, we have bottom heavy, we have 2 down here, and only 1 up on top. if they know instantly what to look for, they can tell whether it's root position, first inversion, or second inversion. I tell the students if it's evenly spaced, where you have the 3 notes and then you have 1 key and 1 key, evenly spaced, that is root position. If it's top heavy, where you have 1 key on the bottom and 2 keys up on top, then you know that is first inversion. And I tell them, whatever note is on top is the name of the chord, in this case, F major. Second inversion is where we put that A up on top. Now we have C, F, A, the F major chord in second inversion, but it's bottom heavy. We have these 2 guys on the bottom. So I will have students practice playing root, first, second inversion, and going back up. In this case, I show you a C major chord, root position, followed by the F major chord, second inversion, and the G major chord in first inversion with the left hand. Let me play for you one more time, Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star, as it was originally written, and watch what I'm doing. Look at the chord changes with my left hand. Those chord changes are very important to learn and to know, because when we start arranging or improvising, we're taking the chords and we are changing according to whatever chord we have. In jazz music, whenever you are playing jazz music, many times they will have a lead sheet, and with that lead sheet, they're going to have you play using that lead sheet where you only have the melody with the right hand, and the left hand you are playing the chords. Now, if I have a C major chord with my left hand, I can do several variations with my left hand. Watch this. Here I have an 80s pop variation. I'm going to take a C octave interval. Every time it's said to play a C major chord, I'm going to play the C octave interval. That's all I'm doing with my left hand. Whenever it's said to play the F major chord, I'm going to play an F octave interval. Now these are eighth notes. I'm going back and forth, rocking back and forth between the two. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 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 1 and... So we have that pattern of 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and... If I play that, I'm going to change my right hand rhythm just a little bit. Now, for this variation, on the free PDF that you can print off, I actually wrote out all of the notes, both the right hand and the left hand. In the following variations, which will come in a second, I'm going to show you that I only wrote down left hand patterns, and I want you to improvise and take what I'm showing you and how to apply it. So watch this. This is the 80s pop variation of Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star. Now if you notice, my left hand was playing the 80s pop style. I have students practice using a pentascale with the right hand. The word penta means 5. Like a pentagon is a shape that has 5 sides, a pentascale is a scale that has 5 notes. In this case, they're the first 5 notes of the C major scale. My original C major scale goes from C up to C. C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. In this case, I'm only playing the first 5 notes, C, D, E, F, G, but I'm going to do that while playing the 80s pop rhythm with the left hand. So I call this an 80s pop pentascale. You can play around with it. Initially, I have the students play the right hand rhythm exactly even. So we have the 8th notes together. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and dun 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 dun. Okay, with the right hand I'm just doing the simple 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and, but with the left hand I begin going down C, B flat, A, G, F. Many times they would do that left hand kind of pattern to get them from the C major chord to the F major chord. If they had a transition and they were playing a C major chord and they wanted to go to an F major chord, they would just go down, C, B flat, A, G, F. So they would go back and forth between that. With this exercise, I have the students practice doing the pentascale, only on C, but many times I will have them try to move up chromatically in half steps to go through every key. Watch this for a second. Now with the right hand, I'm going to change the rhythm. Instead of playing straight eighth notes, which is nice, but I like to jazz it up a little bit more, make it sound a little more poppy. So watch this. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 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 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and... Now, I'm just going up chromatically in half steps, moving up according to the chromatic scale. That's all I'm doing as I'm playing this. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 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 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and... Now, as I'm going up, my left hand is still playing the octave interval, and my right hand is just playing all of the first 5 notes of the major scales I'm going through. Try that. It's the pentascale with the octave interval of the eighth notes. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and then you go up chromatically in half steps. It's a great exercise to try, but I would have you take this little example of the 80s pop variation of Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star, and I would have you really try to embellish it even more. Now, look what I'm doing with my right hand. I'm playing a lot of triads. Going back and forth. With the left hand, I have that constant eighth rhythm of 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Now, I'm going to show you how to play a 50s rock variation. When I have students try to play a 50s rock variation, it's straight, but what I'm having them do is focus on the intervals. I will have students practice first, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth intervals. That is referring to the distance between notes, where I have a first interval and a second interval. They're right next to each other. This is called a second interval. Now, I'm going to play with my left hand. Right here, I'm going to play the fifth interval, followed by the sixth. This is a perfect fifth interval, followed by a major sixth interval, and a minor seventh interval. We have that. Bum, 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 bum. Okay? That is a simple little pattern that students can practice. Well, when we do this little variation, we're going to start down an octave. We're going to play 2 fifth intervals, then go to the 6th interval, back to the 5th interval, up to the minor 7th interval. Okay? So watch that. See that? 1 and 2 and 3 and then we'll go back. 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and we can go up to the F. Same thing when I get to the F. Here I have my F major 6th chord. This is my F major 6th chord right here. Okay? If you look at that, F, A, C, and D, those are the notes from the F major 6th chord. Well, technically, we have the 5th interval and we have the 6th interval. Since I have the F major chord with my melody in the original example, anytime I see an F major chord, I can play my perfect 5th interval, followed by my major 6th interval. This is the 50s rock variation. Now with the right hand, I'm going to change the rhythm a little bit. Instead of this simple Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star, I'm going to change the rhythm to match what my left hand is doing. But it's a great example of how you can take one simple song and you can start to do variations of it. Now the next example I have is a left-hand boogie-woogie pattern, where I have the octave interval, major third, perfect fourth, sharp the fourth, then I have the fifth, and I go down an octave, back to the fifth. This little boogie-woogie pattern is a great exercise, and again, once you practice it in the key of C, go up half a step. Or you can practice it in every key signature. That was C sharp, then I go up to D. And as the students start practicing getting that left-hand pattern, they become more confident and more familiar with that pattern, and I would start very, very slowly. C, C, E, F, F sharp, G, go down an octave, back to the G. C, C, E, F, F sharp, G, down an octave, back to the G. I'm going to play this on the C, the F, and the G. Again, these are the primary chords. 1, 4, 5. In the key of C major, we have the C major chord, the F major chord, and the G major chord. Since those are my primary chords I'm using in the chord progression of Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star, that means that any of these variations will use a left-hand pattern which starts on C, F, or G. In this case, we're going to do the boogie-woogie left-hand pattern on C, F, and G. Let me play Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star for you using that left-hand boogie-woogie pattern. My right hand, I kept a very simple right hand when I was playing that. And I tried to jazz it up slightly, but I was still playing a very simple variation. I'm going to try it again, and this time I'm going to add sixth chords with my right hand. For those of you who are a little more advanced, you may enjoy trying this. Whatever your melody is, you can play that melody with the pinky, and then below the pinky you're going to add the major sixth chord. This is a C major sixth chord. I have C, E, G, and A. Now, if I want C to be on the top, where the melody would be, that means I need to use first inversion. So watch this. First inversion, then I'm going to go up here. There's my second and third inversion. When I have the G up on top, that puts me in a perfect place to go to the C, C, G, G part of Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star. Now I was playing some F major sixth chords as well. When I had the F, there was the F major sixth chord in first inversion. Watch what I do. I'm going to go slowly, but try to play around with this, and you can watch as I'm playing it, and I will explain as I play this what I'm doing with the right hand. Primarily, I'm only using sixth chords with the right hand. Okay? My melody is up on top, but I'm going to keep this left hand boogie-woogie pattern. With my right hand, I kept playing the C major sixth chord in But again, any melody that you have, play it with the pinky, and then you can put any chord beneath it. If I wanted to play a major 6th chord, I could do that the entire way through. If I want to do a major 7th chord, I could play that as well, and then you get some really great sounds. Same thing with the dominant 7th, okay, or the minor 6th. If we were doing more of a minor use. Of course, that gets a little different, but again, it gives you a sound that you're going for. And play around with this. This is about getting Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star, how many variations you can get of Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star. The next one I'm going to show you is the Baby Elephant Walk. Now, this was made famous, of course, by the piece Baby Elephant Walk by Henry Mancini. And so with this, I'm going to do what he did in the piece for the left hand, but we're going to apply it to Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star. Now, if you look at this, here I have a perfect 5th interval. I'm going to move up higher so you can see this. Perfect 5th interval, C and G. Now, if I have a C major chord, the notes in the C major chord are C, E, and G. The C minor chord are C, E flat, and G. Those are the notes in the C minor chord. So C major, C minor. Go back and forth between C major and C minor. Well, this baby walk, this elephant walk pattern with the left hand is playing the perfect 5th interval, then the minor 3rd, which is E flat in this case, and then the major 3rd, which is E. So C and G happens to be my perfect 5th interval in the key of C. So watch. 1 and 2 and then I repeat it. 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and... If I go up to F, I do the same thing on F. On F, my F is played with the pinky and my thumb plays C. That is my perfect 5th interval. Well, I play that. The minor 3rd interval is A flat. The major 3rd interval is A natural. So again, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and... Go back down to C. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and... I can go up to G. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and to F. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and back down to C. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and... So as I play that, I have those repetition patterns that I'm repeating over and over again, but it becomes almost this cycle that your left hand gets in the habit of playing. And you need to feel comfortable with your left hand playing this. So when you start adding Twinkle Little Star with the right hand, it doesn't confuse your left hand. To embellish and add a little more now. Very simple pattern, and then I began to add a little more to it for more advanced students that they could start to take and play around with it. I don't want to get too advanced, especially in some of these tutorials. Later on, I will start to add a few more advanced and very advanced patterns and kind of licks and riffs that students can play around with. But for now, it's basically getting the foundation where you can play with this and you can start to apply it in other keys as well. If I'm doing this, what if I go up half a step? What practice moving up in half steps because all they have to do is take a finger up half a step. We could follow according to the circle of fifths, we could go according to the circle of fourths, but for now I tell students just move up in half steps because it gets your fingers accustomed to moving up one half step and then changing keys. And the melody is right there. It's not like we're jumping up to the fourth. And then you have to try and figure out what the new notes are, because all of a sudden, if I go from C to F or C to G, then you have to figure out what the notes were according to where you were in your previous key signature. And I don't want to confuse people by doing that. The last one I want to show you is a New Age variation. Now, many New Age artists, when they play around with music, they are doing patterns, repetitious patterns with the left hand. For now, with the left hand, all I'm doing is this pattern right here. Every time you see the C major chord, I want you to play A, E, A. We're going to pretend like we're doing the relative minor. In this case, it would be A minor. Relative major would be C major. Relative minor, this would be A minor. But we're going to keep the F major and the G major exactly as they are. All we are changing, every time we see the C, we are going to insert A minor in its place. So now, I'm going to do a pattern, it's called 1-5-8-5. Now, that is according to the intervals, is what they're doing. Musicians, when they come up with patterns, many times they speak about the intervals, or the chords, or the position of the chords, according to the key signatures. If I'm in the key of C, C would be my 1. It's the first note in the C major scale. I can go up, I can come back down. Well, since C is 1, everything follows numerically after that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. If I'm saying 1, 5, 8, 5, I'm talking about starting on C as my 1. The 5 would be G, the 8 would be the C above. In this case, 1 octave higher than where I begin. So watch this. 1, 5, 8, 5, 1, 5, 8, 5. These are eighth notes. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and... Now, it doesn't matter where I begin, as long as I keep the pattern of 1, 5, 8, 5. So if I'm on F, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. See, I'm counting up from F. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. The pattern again is 1, 5, 8, 5, 1, 5, 8, 5. I can go up to G and play 1, 5, 8, 5, 1, 5, 8, 5. I could go to A, 1, 5, 8, 5, 1, 5, 8, 5. I could go to B, 1, 5, 8, 5, 1, 5, 8, 5. I usually tell students to stay away from B. It's the diminished chord. When we refer to modes, it's the Locrian mode. And I tell students that it has its place, it has its purpose, but many times I refer to it, instead of the diminished chord, I call it the demented chord because it kind of sounds a little demented. And the Locrian, instead of referring to it as the Locrian mode, sometimes I tell students it will drive you loco or crazy if you keep playing it. So I tell them, try to use it as sparingly as possible. It has its purpose and it has a place, and it's perfect, especially for transitioning from one scale or one key to the next, one mode to the next. It has its place. But if you're trying to play a melody with it, probably not the best thing to do to play with the Locrian mode or the diminished chord. So with this, I tell students we're going to do 1, 5, 8, 5. Now listen to Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star. It's almost a very thoughtful and pensive Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star. All I'm doing with my left hand, every time I see the C, level, I then tell them that most New Age artists love third intervals and sixth intervals. It's a little secret. But watch. If I play C and E, this is a third interval. Well, if you were to flip the third interval, in this case C is on the bottom, E is on the top. If I put C on the top and E on the bottom, that becomes a sixth interval. If I went up and down according to all sixth intervals with the right hand, only on the white keys, and I can break them apart, it doesn't matter where I can go up, I can go down. Watch the left hand pattern. If I play this A, and I'm starting with the 1, 5, 8, 5, my pinky is on A. With the right hand, I'm going to do a sixth interval. In this case, I'm just starting on B and G. Up on top with the pinky, but below that I have a sixth interval. So if I have C to the G to the A, that's my Twinkle Twinkle Little Star melody, I'm going to put a sixth interval below that. There's my sixth interval. And all of a sudden I start creating this very New Age, sounding Twinkle Twinkle variation. Thought-provoking Twinkle Twinkle Little Star, I guess you would say. There are several variations you can do. I would try to come up with as many variations of Twinkle Twinkle Little Star as you can. I'm going to play just a few examples right now to give you an idea of something you can do. And play around, create, make up your own arrangement of Twinkle Twinkle Little Star. This one is a modal jazz variation of Twinkle Twinkle Little Star. And I don't want to talk too much about the modes right now. I don't want to confuse too many people, but think of modes as scales within scales. In the key of C major, that is my C major scale. It is also referred to or known as Ionian. This is Ionian mode. I tell students to remember a little phrase, I don't play like my Aunt Louise. I tell them pretend you have some aunt, she's amazing, she's wonderful, she plays the piano beautifully. Her name is Louise, and you want to play like Aunt Louise, but you don't know how she does it. So I tell students to say, I don't play like my Aunt Louise. And then you're back to the C again. I don't play like my Aunt Louise. Well, this refers to C Ionian, from C to C. If I went from D to D and played only the white keys, according to that scale, this would be D Dorian. Don't Dorian. I don't play. If I went from E to E and only played the white keys, this is E Phrygian. If I went from F to F and only played the white keys, then it's I don't play like. Well, like refers to Lydian mode. Then I'm in F Lydian mode. If I went from G to G, this is G Mixolydian mode. If I went from A to A, this would be A Aeolian mode. If I went from B to B, this is B Locrian mode, which also sounds kind of sci-fi and extraterrestrial. Okay, the Locrian has that effect. And then I'm back to Ionian. Jazz musicians, in particular, love playing with the modes. to the next, and they will modulate using the modes, but they can also create a very interesting and unique sound within one key signature by playing the modes. Let me show you as an example. This is Twinkle Twinkle Little Star, modal jazz style. That was a simple illustration of how you can take Twinkle Twinkle Little Star and make it a very, very different variation, but it sounds cool, it sounds unique, it sounds original. And it's putting your own little flavor, your own little twist on Twinkle Twinkle Little Star. Right now I'm going to end this Theory Tip Tuesday by playing a very traditional classical style. We're going to pretend that this Twinkle Twinkle Little Star maybe is a very sad, depressed Twinkle Twinkle Little Star. Maybe he lost his light, and maybe he wants to be very dark, and very morose and sad. Okay? So we can have a lot of octave chords and kind of go all up and down. Listen to this and see if you can pick out Twinkle Twinkle Little Star. One more for dramatic effect. Oh, maybe one more. And I have to do a little head bow. Okay? So I added a little dramatic flair into it as well, but you can see what you can do is you change the style around. Pretend for a moment that you are taking Twinkle Twinkle Little Star and trying to come up with your own variation. Have fun, play around with Twinkle Twinkle Little Star. It's fun to do, it's a simple little well-known traditional children's song, but when you play it and you change it up a little bit, people sit up a little more, they look at you and think, I know something's different with that, and they try to figure out what it is, but they like what they hear. I hope you've had fun learning this tutorial of Twinkle Twinkle Little Star. Again, go home, try this, play around with it, see what you can come up with. And the variations, anyone can print off and download this free PDF exercise from my website. Have a great time.